On a stormy night, my sister's husband forced her to sleep under a tree with nothing, no roof, no blanket, nothing. And at that time, my name is Jack and I live in Chicago. My story is about the night my phone rang and changed everything. The storm had already passed when my phone rang at midnight. The unknown number belonged to a voice I hadn't heard in years. My sister's. It wasn't her words that got to me, it was her sobs. In the background I could hear the wind, rain, and the snapping of branches. "Where are you?" I asked. There was a pause, then a whisper that sounded like broken glass in my ear. "Under the tree." He said I didn't deserve a roof tonight. My sister was pregnant, soaked and left outside like a stray dog. The line went dead. I sat there in the darkness with my phone in my hand. My pulse was steady but rising and I could taste metal in my mouth. By morning, she was in the lobby of a fancy hotel, wrapped in a robe and shivering, but safer than she had been in years. She held on to my hand like I was her only hope. But I wasn't thinking about her comfort. I was already planning, already getting ready. Men like him don't stop. They just get worse until someone makes them face the consequences of their cruelty. The next morning, I went to his company. It should have been a normal day. Men in expensive suits, glowing computer screens, and boring conversations about numbers. But I could see it. The nervous looks between two employees. The sudden silence when my name was announced. His boss had called an emergency meeting and gave no explanation or reason for it. They knew something was wrong. Maybe they didn't know all the details, but they knew a storm was about to hit their polished building. My brother-in-law, a self-proclaimed provider, a respectable family man, was already pale when I walked in. He was the same man who had made my pregnant sister sleep under a tree during a storm. I didn't yell or get angry. I just walked across the room, grabbed his collar with my hand, and held him still. It wasn't about being violent. It was a quiet reminder that people often mistake control for strength until it's taken away. The room froze. Every person in the room watched me and held their breath. I wasn't shaking. I was looking at him like a doctor who already knew the patient had a serious illness. I let him go without saying a word. That was enough. Fear is most effective when it's incomplete. Later, while he thought everything was over, I was gathering phone records, messages and bank statements. Every lie leaves a trail, and he had been careless. There were late-night transfers to accounts my sister knew nothing about, a second phone hidden under a fake name, and even worse, text messages. They were explicit and filled with cruel remarks to another woman. It wasn't just cheating, it was a double life filled with hate. My sister had been saving money for their child while he was buying jewelry for someone else. I didn't say anything to her, not yet. My silence wasn't kindness. It was a strategy. Doubt grows bigger when there's nothing to stop it. I wanted him to be consumed by it. The document was sent to my desk about 2 days later. I read it slowly. Each page was another piece of evidence that would destroy his reputation. I wasn't shocked, I was just confirmed. When I finally gave it to him and slid the envelope across the table, he laughed at first. Then his face went pale. His hands began to tremble. His lips tried to offer explanations that even he didn't believe. "Who gave you this?" he whispered. I just leaned back and stayed silent. That's when the panic started. The realization that every excuse he had was already useless. His colleagues were watching, his boss was watching, and I was watching, not with anger, but with the calmness of someone who has already won. The real punishment wasn't the evidence itself. It was my self-control. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I didn't embarrass him with a dramatic scene. I simply put the papers in front of his boss and said, "You decide if this is the man you trust with your clients." Nothing more. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. The look in his eyes, the change from arrogance to desperation, was the only revenge I needed. He knew his life was falling apart, and all I had done was begin the collapse. That night, I sat in the hotel lounge with my sister. She was warm, safe, and drinking tea like a fragile survivor of a storm she never deserved. She asked me what I had done. I looked at her calmly and said, "Only what was necessary. No details, no promises, just the finality of the truth. I don't feel bad for him. Feeling bad is a waste of time. For men who think being cruel is the same as being powerful. What I feel is clarity, a quiet knowledge that his downfall has only just begun, and I'll never need to do anything else. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is silence.